The NX8 line just got a little bit bigger. Nightforce recently announced the 2.5 to 20 and 4x32 NX8 models. Both of these scopes have 50mm objective lenses, 30mm main tubes, 0 stops, illuminated reticles, and a side focus that goes all the way down to 10 meters. So you can see they're fully featured scopes. The goal with these, Nightforce wanted to create an optic that was as small and as light as they could make it with an image quality with which they were comfortable. Image quality wise, these scopes will sit somewhere between the NXS and the ATAC-R, and the reason why is when you make a scope more compact and you crowd those lenses together, there is a trade-off in image quality. One of the things I wanted to check when playing with these scopes is how the reticles looked at the low end of the magnification. With that 8-power magnifier, of course, it's going to look great at the high end, but at the low end, that reticle is going to get small. And what I found is that in most conditions, that reticle is going to remain usable. My definition of most conditions is there's some contrast between your reticle and the background on which your target sits. So, when you get in a brush or a darker background, at the lowest magnification, that reticle will be hard to see. Every other time, that reticle looks fantastic. Another thing I wanted to check for is side focus sensitivity or depth of field. A lot of times when you get with these really compact optics, you'll focus the target at 500 and then you'll move to a target at 800 and it'll be out of focus. You'll have a hard time seeing it. I set focus at 1000 and got all the parallax out of the system, and then transitioned to a piece of steel at 400 and shot, and then another piece of steel at 600 and engaged that one as well, just using holdovers in the reticle. And what I found is that all three of those pieces of steel were focused equally the same. Now, this was a summer day in the southeast. There's a ton of mirage in the scope, but I could very easily see each one of those targets, which to me was pretty fascinating. It's hard to engineer a scope to give that great of a depth of field, but these did a fantastic job. Another thing I wanted to check was the eye box, right? I'm not particularly fond of that term. There's two components to the eye box. There's exit pupil. That's the size of the hole in the back of the scope that you have to look through. It adjusts with magnification. So if the eye box is a little tight, a lot of times if you dial down magnification just a hair, it opens up that hole in the back of the scope for you to look through. You can pick up quite a bit of breathing room there. What's not adjustable is what's called the eye relief threshold. Now, this is the distance that your head can move closer to or further away from the optic and still retain a full field of view. The way manufacturers measure this is they'll shine a light through the objective lens of the scope. They'll put a white 3x5 card at the back end, and you'll see it about the 3.5 inch mark. There's a very small dot that gets crisp and in focus, and it stays in focus as you move that card either closer to or further away from the optic. It's not a huge distance. It's usually right around 1/4 inch. But that's called eye relief threshold. You can measure that on any scope. And when I measured the eye relief threshold on the new NX8s and compared it with the ATAC-R, what I found is they're almost identical. So for you eye box enthusiasts out there, if you want to know what it's like, it's almost identical to the ATAC-R, which in my experience, that's one of my favorite scopes. So when I shoot competitively with, I'm a big fan of it. I'm excited about the new NX8s. I think they're going to be a big hit with the precision rifle shooters, long-range hunters, and anybody who just likes to ding steel and have a good time doing it. I'd like to thank Nightforce for sponsoring this video, and if you'd like to know more about these products or any of Nightforce's other products, you can go to www.nightforceoptics.com.